It was a moonlit night on the island of Sodor. The former members, which are Toby, Edward, Henry, and James, were having a chat about the day's work. When they heard an owl howling through the night. James and Henry were just telling Edward and Toby they had to take a goods train together down the line. However, when they heard the howling, Edward warned them about something. "Be careful about tonight, you two," said Edward. "That line is very old, and not a lot of engines have gone on it for years," said Edward. "Might not take my weight either," said Toby. "Be still," said Edward. "You two are big engines. Just be careful. That line is a bit spooky at the same time." "Nothing can bother us, Edward," said James. "Besides, we're best friends," said Henry. "And if anything's in trouble," said James, "I am the rescue engine on the east side of the island. Don't forget that. And don't forget me and James scared Rosie one time with glow-in-the-dark paint." "Well," said Edward, "that's a warning." "And warnings are important," said Toby. Henry and James did listen carefully, but they thought they knew everything. "Ah, but Edward's right," said Toby. "That night, that night is very spooky," said Toby. "There's a lot of engines going on that line. I was to say maybe some of them crashed or derailed. Or maybe some are ghosts. Or maybe just fall off a bridge or something, or blown up. But let's just say they were never seen again on that line. And nobody has went on that line ever since," said Edward, along with Toby's story. James was now listening to it. James was a bit scared, but Henry wasn't. "Don't be a scaredy engine, James," said Henry to his best friend. "There's nothing to be scared about. Remember, you're a rescue engine, and don't forget we did play that trick on Rosie once without going to dark paints." "Did it? Yes," said James. He was a bit scared. But Henry took no further of this. "Now, we better collect that goods train," said Henry. With that, the two engines puffed away. The two engines soon reached the old line. By Toby and Edward's words, they were correct. The line was old. Henry was still not afraid of it, but James still kept going while Henry followed. James was still a bit afraid, but Henry was not having none of this. The two engines didn't say a word to each other yet as they went down the old line. So far, everything was going good. Henry was being brave. James, however, wanted to get out of here, so he went kind of fast. But James went too fast, and then there was a derailed track as he plunged into the sea. Henry saw James crashed. "Bother that James," said Henry. "He went too fast, wanted to get out of there." Henry saw the derailed James and his vans. "Well, thanks a lot for that," said Henry. "Now look at you." you. Now your delivery will be late. I just wanted to get out of here so that way, well, we don't get sorry, I don't want to be scared. Huh, said Henry. You remind me of the time when Duck got stuck in there and we had to fish them out with the crane. And, plus, said Henry, this also reminds me of the time when I crashed in here and you had to take the vans away and Edward had to bring the cranes and Thomas had to tow me to the Great Western sheds while Duck and the others were busy doing their work. I didn't mean to, said James. I might as well get the crane, said Henry. It was sunrise by the time they got Henry out of the sea. Henry went off. Henry boarded the breakdown train, and they soon got James back on the rails. James too felt about last night. When James was put back on the rails, Henry now felt sorry for his attitudes. When he started last night. I'm sorry for my attitude, James, said Henry. I just want you not to be a scaredy engine, That's all right, Hen, said James. I'm sorry that annoyed you. Oh well, said Henry. I think the factory wants us just to take another goods train or something tonight, down this line again. Oh, said James. Well, as long as we're together, we can work as a team. Agreed, said Henry. Now I better get June Drone back to Harwick, said Henry. Don't forget, Hen, it's all right. Right, don't forget we did have a fallout once, about when you helped me at Crowan's Gate. Yes, I remember that, said Henry. Later that day, Henry and James were in the yards of Wellsworth. They were still thinking about what happened today. About last night and this morning. The firemen and drivers told the workmen about it. Henry reckons that they need to go on the line again, said Henry's crew. The workman looked at his timetable. He's correct. He and James will take another goods train on the old line again tonight, said the workman. Very well then, said the crew. We'll have them ready by night. But Henry and James were worried. And this time, Henry was starting to worry about the line. Late that evening at Wellsworth, Henry and James were coupled up to their goods train. This time they were going to try and be brave. They feel happy. When all of a sudden, Gordon thundered by with the express. Express coming true, he said, as he thundered by. And now Hood as well. Henry and James were frightened by this. They knew Gordon was a fast express engine, and strong too, and very loud. The trucks giggled to themselves. Oh, look! Henry and James are scared, they said. We'll sure have some fun now, they giggled. Be quiet, said Henry. Yeah, and be really useful for once, said James. And with that, the train set off during the misty night. But as they went on, like yesterday, there was more scary things, and this time the trucks were also scared. They wanted to make fun of Henry and James. They kept going on, which they did. But when they saw spooky stuff like Henry and James did last night, they were frightened too. Go on, they said. The spooky stuffs. Stop, said Henry and James as they applied their brakes. Just then they passed a figurine house. that had lights on it. Just then, they were heading to solve a cliff. Henry and James were braking, but when they saw the cliff, they braked harder. But while a brake ran in front of them, they couldn't stop until it came. The truck saw this and wanted to stop, but they couldn't. Then disaster laid ahead. The trucks plunged into the ravine, but luckily Henry and James were all right. "Are you okay, James?" said Henry. "I am, Hen," said James. The two of them were a bit frightened. It was even worse than last night. Just then a wheel, a, sort of like a rail car, not like Daisy, but it came up behind James. It It's old Bailey, said the drivers and firemen. Old Bailey was very cross. "I tried to warn you two, but you didn't listen. Listen, why do you keep going?" "We sorry." "We," said old Bailey, said James and Henry's firemen drivers. "We told you were a ghost, like yesterday. So anything can we do to help you?" Henry and James were worried what old Bailey was going to say. They were worried if old Bailey was going to plunge them into a ravine or tear the fat controller on them. "Actually," said old Bailey, "I would like if you asked if you could drop my old station, please. I promise I won't spook Henry and James again." "We can see what we can do," said the fireman drivers. Henry and James smiled. They were glad it wasn't a ghost. It was just old Bailey the whole time. They knew there was nothing to see scared about this old nine. The next soon Old Bay Station was finally restored. The 4 million members were there for the opening, including the Fat Controller. "Your station will be a very special part of the island," said the Fat Controller. Then he turned to the engines. "You all did fine work restoring the station, thanks to Henry and James finding it. And me and Toby are kind of sorry about the story." "It's alright," said James and Henry. "And now," said Fat Controller, "let's give the biggest cheers for the ghosts on the ghosts on the island," said old Bailey. Henry and James laughed. They were pleased they found Old Bailey Station, and they knew there was nothing to be scared about.